This is one from Anudi Polanco talking about Juan Soto scuffling. And this is before he got kind of hot because he's been warming up now. And he says, sooner rather than later, Soto will hit. If he doesn't, I would have to say that San Diego is not the team for him. Maybe he does not feel comfortable there, but he's an excellent hitter, just hasn't been able to put it together. Yet Manny and Tatis, I'm not worried about at all as far as their hitting. Also, their pitching sucks. San Diego could be winning by 5, and it would never be for sure that they would win that game. They better sign better quality pitchers for sure.
Well, they've had a lot of injury issues, and that's a big thing. And now they have a lot of age. And I made this comment back when you were trying to tell me at Christmas time, order your World Series tickets. I made this comment back to you in front of the Christmas tree we had right here behind us, that your pitching staff is never the same from year to year.
Correct.
They had all those quality starts last year, all the quality innings from the top 4 or 5 guys, Blake Snell excluded, and we were all excited. But that staff has not come back. It's not the same staff. Now, Darvish has pitched okay. Musgrove got hurt, so he's only a starter 2 into his regimen. Obviously, what they're dealing with Nick. Is he a 4 or 5 inning starting pitcher? Is he better to be a long reliever? That's a huge question, is what they're going to do with him. And Snell is an enigma. Morion, whom I thought was ready to take the next step forward in his career, still on the disabled list with the elbow joint. Ryan Weathers has got some arm fatigue all of a sudden and looked like he had 2 quality starts. So this pitching staff right now is not what that pitching staff was last year. Now, maybe still can be a good pitching staff because there's a lot of baseball to be played. So I'll reserve judgment on Soto for the time being. He owes us. That was a 291 hitter in Washington who's hitting probably 224 since he came here. And somewhere along the line, you have to quit using the excuse he needs to adopt. He needs some time. Time is ticking away. He needs to produce with the kind of money that he's being paid and the kind of money that everybody thinks he wants to ask for.
Yeah, well, Soto is starting to heat up, I think, and it's all between the ears with him right now. So I'm confident he'll come around. But the pitching, you're right, that every year it's different. And last year, to your point, Snell aside, they were fantastic. They went 7 innings most every game, very little injuries. And and this year, you can't expect that to happen again. But I'll tell you what, Lugo has been very good. Yep. He's been very surprising. Waka was really good, then had some really bad starts. So you're not sure where you're getting out of him. Nick Martinez seems like he's better in the bullpen than he is as a starter. So they've still got to figure some things out. I was hopeful like you were about Morhone, but it looks like, I guess it's an elbow issue or a forearm issue.
Elbow joint.
Yeah. So there's something there. So, it's going to take them a little time to settle in here. It seems like they're going back to a 5-man rotation. We'll see how it goes, but I'll tell you what, Hader is killing it. He's closing the games and looking really good.
Yeah, and he's got a track record. I mean, there's a guy who had a bad blip when he first got here from Milwaukee, and then he gathered it in at the end of the season, and he has picked up where he left off. So obviously you're going to need pitching over 162 game schedule. They don't have any pitching left at AAA El Paso. You ought to see the ERAs. Holy cow.
Well, yeah, because they're hitting in El Paso when it's not quite Mexico City elevation, but it's up there.
Damn close.
But yeah, that second tier of players like Russ Kinnear, nice kid, but he's not a Joe Musgrove. So they got to make it work with the guys they've got now.
Next question. Who else has something to say here?
Okay, here's another comment about the whole Matt Araiza situation from Metallica 708. He says, everyone was talking about him when the story broke, and why is no one talking about him now when it was discovered that there was video that shows that the sex was consensual and that he wasn't even there?
Well, he was not there, although there was a sexual act, and everybody admitted to it. He maintains it's consensual. The woman says it was not. And obviously, the video clips that have surfaced from the different cell phones that were taken, confusing story. He said, she said. Mm-hmm. What she said, did she lie? There is no video with any players. There are no faces shown on the video. Civil lawsuit, let it go to court. That being said, historically, the NFL has allowed guys who've gone through the legal system to come back and play, whether they were found guilty of something or not guilty after investigation, come back and play. Why he has not been signed by anybody yet is a stunner to me. because he was never charged. And last I checked on page 6 of the NFL manual, it says nothing about being stupid and being barred from the NFL. So I'm hoping somebody will give Matt Araiza a chance to rebuild football reputation, rebuild personal reputation. The lawsuit will handle itself off the field.
Yeah, and I agree with you as well. I think, this is America. This is a land of second chances. And I think people do deserve second chances. And the fact that he was not guilty, I think speaks volumes. And you have to you can't derail his career if he's not in trouble with the law. There's a lot of suspicion, but I think you've got to let him come back. And boy, is he a talented punter. I'm sure any NFL team would love to have him.
Will there be blowback if somebody signs him? Yeah, there'll probably be people barking, but who cares? If the kid was never charged, did he do something stupid? Well, in my estimation, he did. He probably wishes he had never done that, but the kid can play. And if the kid's averaging 50 yards a punt for some NFL team and nothing happens with a civil lawsuit, then he will get through this. But I wish somebody would give him an opportunity to at least be in somebody's training camp for OTAs and preseason games and go from there. What else we got on the table here?
Okay. We got another one here talking about hockey. This is from Itron. He says, commenting about the Canadian Shockers, with the Oilers and the Leafs losing their first games in the playoffs. He says, all water under the bridge. Both Edmonton and Toronto won their first round series in 6. Go Canada, go, especially the Oilers.
Oh, Canada. Can you imagine how crazy it will be north of the border and how out of control I will be if the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Edmonton Oilers make the Stanley Cup Finals? That potentially could happen. Not easy. Toughest trophy to get. Maple Leafs continue to be up and down and weird with all that firepower, losing on home ice again in the first game of the Florida series, after losing on home ice in the first game that they played in the first series. And Edmonton runs hot, can run cold, but Edmonton is dynamic with those 2 big goal scorers. So we got a group of games to be played, but can you imagine? You think I'm hard to tolerate now? Can you imagine if my team, Maple Leafs, and the second favorite team in my heart, Oilers, make the Stanley Cup Finals?
Yeah,
wow,
that'd be something, and I just know growing up, I wasn't born and raised on the East Coast like you were, and it seems hockey was always Canada. It was Northeastern America, but it's all this expansion has been happening, kind of in the southern states, and now it seems like Canada is almost a relic of the past when you look at the NHL, because a lot of the new winners have been American teams. So yeah, that could be something. But here's just kind of a weird question. Why are the Toronto Maple Leafs spelled Leafs rather than Leaves, Leaves?
It used to be known as the Toronto St. Patrick's. I mean, I don't know why that changed the way it changed, but it did. They were part of the original 6, which is what you're making reference to.
Right.
But I mean, the NHL, when they expanded to the Sun Belt, I said, you're putting a franchise in San Jose, Anaheim, Nashville, and those franchises sell out. And hockey has just exploded. There was at one time the NHL was in huge financial trouble. It was the aftermath of the World Hockey Association and the raids, and the salaries went crazy. I mean, it is now almost on an even par revenue stream wise to Major League Baseball.
Really?
Yeah. The NFL is I want to say a 17 or an $18 billion sport. Baseball has elevated itself. They've gone from 3 billion to 11 billion. Hockey has pushed itself, because they're in so many different markets and so many new places, to 11 billion. And the NBA is right behind them at 8. But I mean, who would have thought an NHL franchise would sell out every home game in Raleigh-Durham, home of the Carolina Hurricane, right in the heart and soul of ACC country? So, I mean, we have the historically great franchises. I mean, the Penguins went from bankruptcy to Mario Lemieux, Sidney Crosby, and now their elevated status. We know about the Rangers. We know about the Islanders. We know about the Flyers and the Broad Street Bullies. But boy, if we could have the Maple Leafs and the Oilers in the Stanley Cup Finals, you think I'm unbearable now? Wait till that happens.
And you are unbearable now.
But at least I'm not unethical.
Yeah. Well, but that's amazing that the NHL has generated that much revenue. I didn't know that. But I think part of it is because people are migrating south. So you got a lot of New Yorkers that are moving to Carolina. But I think a lot of people are just discovering the sport and falling in love with it. And then there's certain cities that have sort of been off the radar. They've never had a legit pro sports team, like San Jose.
Like Seattle.
Yeah, like Seattle. And they feel like, okay, we've got a team. And now they're all fired up for them. And the fans are just really excited.
Yeah. Going forward, it'll be fun. Hey, listen, we hope you've